Yo, we got to talk. Love is Blind Season 5 episodes 5 through 7. First of all, we pick up where we left off. They tell Uche, production tells Uche that Aaliyah left. He said, no, for real. They said, yes, for real, she left. She already didn't got on the plane, packed up, got on the plane, gone home. He leaves out that part in disbelief, goes in there with the guys, and she left. And they're the guys are namely Izzy, Milton, and JP are sitting there, and they trying to figure out why would she just leave. And he was like, I'm not sure. They did y'all get into an argument? Like, what was said? Who said something to her to make her just up and leave without talking to you first? And Uche is just like, I don't know. We were good yesterday. We were all the way good. And then somebody, I can't recall who it was, I think it was Milton, said, well, is it because you took too long to propose? Because, I proposed, and maybe she saw everybody else getting proposed to and started thinking that you was not going to propose to her. So she just up and left. He was like, no, because we had talked, and everything was good. She only had one more day to wait. I was going to propose to her. So, production pulls him aside, and he's in a room where it's just him doing the confessional, and he's just still he's asking what did she say to y'all? What happened? I don't get it. She didn't leave a note. She didn't leave anything. So they were he said, did she really go home? And they said, yeah. So they was you want us to try to call her, get someone to call her and see if you could speak to her? So they did. They called her, and they gave him the phone, and he's like, Aaliyah. So she was like, Uche. And she's sounding all sad. She's saying that she really loved him, and he's saying he really loved her, and things was good. She said, but things just, she said, it's already awkward. The whole process is weird and awkward. And then the other part that made it more awkward is that I find after all of this, I connect with you, I connect with Lydia, and then to find out that y'all are exes. And she said, and then me and Lydia got into it. So he's like, huh? And she said, I was getting concerned about the fact that everybody was getting proposed to, and I hadn't just yet. And so I had told Lydia, that's okay. If he don't propose to me, you can have him. If he don't want me, you can have him. You can have them back. So Uche is taken aback and why would you say something like that? Why? And so she's like, yeah, I said that. And Lydia responded with, fuck him. I don't want him anymore. I'm with Milton. I want to be with Milton or whatever. But to me, it's giving Lydia, no, you want Uche back, because why go tell Milton that your ex was in there, and then you was running down the whole list of things, and then you was making sure you was running down the whole list of things to Aaliyah as well. Why did you need to tell her all those things? You're ruining her experience. And Aaliyah told Uche that. And then Uche is offended. He's all, why would you let some woman, some girl come in between us? And she said, Uche, you just gotta admit, it's weird as fuck. The last time she was at your house earlier this year, you don't think she saw something in there that said that showed that you was going to be on this show? Why would they allow both of y'all to be on this season of the show together? So all of that just, and so he so you just up and left, and she was like, I don't want you to feel like I don't love you, because I really, really do, but I just could, after all of that, I couldn't see myself saying I do in 4 weeks. It was just too much. And so he coming down on her just the same way he did when she admitted to cheating in her previous relationship. And then he comes back with, I can't believe this, that you let that conversation with her and all that stuff get in your head, and it's supposed to be just about me and you, and I don't even want to talk to you anymore. And he gives the people their phone back and doesn't talk to her. We see Lydia come out of the pod for her and Milton to see each other. He lied. He told her he was only 5'10". Milton is so freaking tall. She doing like this to reach out. She just couldn't believe it. They hug. He said he had a haircut the day before and he shaved his beard off. Not beard, yeah, beard off. And kept the mustache, cut the mustache down some. And he wishing he didn't do it because now he looks super young. He looked 12 with facial hair. And they hug, they keep kissing and kissing, and she's just looking at him and like, you're so tall. How tall are you? He said, I'm 5'10". She said, no, you're not. Because I'm 5, whatever she said. You are not 5'10". And he was like, I'm 6'7". And she like, wow. So she says yes to his proposal. They sit on the chair, they keep kissing. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, you're forcing it. They look forced to me. There's nothing genuine about it. There's some, I would say Milton looks like he's being genuine, but Lydia is definitely not being genuine. I don't think she's into that man like that. Then we see the couples arrive at the getaway. The first thing we see with Taylor and JP, Taylor is not into JP. She connected with him emotionally, but when she saw him, that all changed. Homegirl, he comes in for a kiss. She told him, your breath's bad. Maybe mine's bad too. She tried to play it off by saying it, that maybe hers is bad too. And they're just sitting there looking at each other, not saying much and all that kind of stuff. And he tells her, you could just talk. But he is so quiet. And she's like, they can't have a fleshed out full relationship where she's the only person who talks and he says nothing. Like, who want to be signing up for that for the rest of their life? And I get it. But you also just not that into him since you seen him. He's not physically what you go for, I guess. But you want to try to blame it all on the fact that he's super quiet. Yeah, okay. We see Lydia and Milton talking by the pool. And she was all talking about him needing to shave. She like a clean shaver, man. And he was like, no, I can't. I got a lot of razor bumps right now. I gotta wait another day or so and let it fill in some more before I can shave again. And anyway, the beard is coming back. It's gonna be a full beard on the wedding day or whatever. He liked the facial hair. She talking about she don't like it and she gonna teach him how to be the way that she want him to be. And I'm like, he's very witty though, cause he timing up for her. He young, but he timing up for her. Cause for all the little things that she said, he had something else to say back to her. And I really like that about him. So he not gonna be the pushover that we think he's going to be. At least it doesn't appear so. Izzy and Stacy, they look like they really into each other. The chemistry is there. The chemistry is really there. They're talking and discussing some other things and stuff. They even talk about what it's going to be like when they see the other couples. And she was like, I know you know, the whole thing with Lydia. And so when you see her, just promise me that if y'all decide to go have a conversation about, you know, why you called it off with her or whatever, just make sure you don't talk to her in Spanish where I won't know what y'all saying. Like, make sure you just talk to her in English. He was like, sure, cool, I would do that for you. So, next thing you know, now I don't know if we've ever seen anything like this in Love is Blind history. We see we see Lydia in the shower. It's a little bit foggy, but you can clearly see her from the back, fully nude. And we see Milton come in the shower and join her. And then they show them kissing and stuff. Since when they started showing a female's naked form from behind? Like, we saw everything. When y'all start doing that, Love is Blind? So they go on and do their thing or whatever. It's the next day. They talking. They talking about how it was to sleep with each other, and not necessarily sexually, but just to be in the same bed in close quarters with one another. Every couple discusses this. JP and Taylor, she said it wasn't that bad. They get up, they decide they're gonna make coffee. They make some coffee, and it's like she trying, she grasping at straws. She is really trying, and he's just not giving her much to work with. So at this point, it's not just about not being physically attracted to him anymore. It's the fact that he don't talk. And she shouldn't have to be the only one forcing conversation all the time. Izzy and Stacy wake up smiling and everything. And they talking about what things surprised them the most the night before about each other. He was like, I thought it was not gonna be easy to sleep with you. But you're a pretty good sleeper. She was like, for real? Because I usually toss and turn a lot. He was like, no, you barely moved all night. Like, you didn't do any of that. And he said, what was the most surprising thing for you? And she kind of like made a face and smiled and looked at him. And I was like, what did she say? But it was the surprising thing. She stopped up the toilet. She used the bathroom the night before. She went in there to check again. And she was like, we definitely got to call maintenance front desk for them to come and fix this. She stopped up the toilet. That was funny. Lydia and Milton, they cool. They kissing and stuff. And they seeming like they really into each other. But again, I think they trying to sell us. I don't know if they really into, well, Lydia ain't really into Milton like that, because they were talking about kids, and he was saying that he don't want them. He said, woo, kids right now. There was some kids at the pool while they was there. She was like, we can keep having fun practicing and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, but I don't think, he said something about not waiting for 5 years. And she was like, I think we need to speed up the timeline. He said something about 10. She was like, no, I'm going to be way too old, like, to be having kids then. Because there's a gap. Like, he 24 and she 30 or 31, something like that already. So it's like, no, like, not no 10 years from now. We having kids or whatever. Like, she want to enjoy and get to know each other first for a little hot second. But I think after that, she wants to get into, it's basically what she's saying. She want to start trying. She said they can have fun while they trying though. And she said something about teaching him, like, because they said something about what was the experience like sexually. And he was like, he don't think he's ever had a bad sexual experience. He don't see how any man can say, oh, the sex was bad. He finds that to be odd. He said he can see how a woman can say that. But for men, like, how can you say a woman, like, how can you say it was bad? Like, or you had a bad experience? And she said something about teaching him some things or whatever. We see him with his shirt off. The boy got a bird chest. A bird chest. Bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. It's the bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. He really looked like an overgrown giant 12-year-old to me. So it's later in the day. Everybody meets up at the beach. The guys are having fun. They playing cornhole. People are sitting around talking. So we see Izzy pulls Lydia to the side and basically tells her he feels like there needs to be some closure. The way the whole thing is set up, you really don't get a chance to get that. And he was telling her, like, I broke it off with you because I felt like I was having a stronger connection with Johnny. And then Stacy just crept on in there because I was just starting to get to know her. But I felt like, man, Johnny had been through a lot of the same or similar stuff. I mean, you had some stuff that was similar, but it was overwhelmingly similar with Johnny. And he thought that was going to work out, and it ended up not working out. And he chose Stacy or whatever, and things are really good. But he just felt like he owed her that closure. And Lydia was like, oh, you're fine. It's okay. I appreciate you putting me to the side, but I'm good. I'm in love with Milton. Like, basically, so you pulling me to the side was not even necessary. Because we saw him say that Lydia is more attractive than he thought she was going to be. She really cute. He loved her curly hair and all that. I said, mm-hmm. And that's what she said. Men always like what she looks like, but they don't really go for her as a person. So they split up. They go back to their couples. And then we see Stacy and Taylor sit down and have a conversation with one another. And Stacy says she can see it. She can see that it seems like, even though he don't talk much, JP seems to be more into it than Taylor. She was like, and what happened? Because like the second day or so, you was convinced that you was like, I found my husband. The connection was so strong. And then now, like, what's going on? And Taylor said that he doesn't talk much. And yes, she do agree he probably is more into her than she is into him. But also the communication, she was like, he just don't talk. And I've been with people who are quiet, but I can't see myself being in a 50-year relationship with somebody who's that quiet. Like she said that she don't take this thing for a joke or marriage for a joke. So she not going to marry somebody just to be saying yes and end up divorcing them or whatever. But my whole thing is, from things that people on this show say, all of y'all knew what you were signing up for. This whole thing is to see if love is really blind, if you can find somebody and want to be married to them sight unseen. And the fact that a lot of people are getting to this part where they say, oh, they don't think they're ready for marriage. Say that you're not ready for marriage with this particular person. It's not that you're not ready for marriage at all, because you knew what you was getting into when you started, when you signed up for the show. You knew what it was. So the episode ends with Taylor and JP walking down by the water and talking. And again, she's still forcing conversation with. And like I said, I think it's just she's just not that into him. It just changed. And I'm honestly, she's not that into him physically, but I think if he had a personality to back up what he looks like, and she would have gave it a chance if he would have had more personality. That's what I think. So, another shower scene. Milton and Lydia. You know, they talking about packing up and getting ready to head back home from the romantic getaway back home to Houston. Which leads me to ask, when they said Aaliyah chose to get on the flight and go home, where exactly is home for her if they already in Houston? Or are they filming the pod portion at another location? Like, are they already near the romantic getaway? They couldn't have been, because they showed them in the airport. So I don't know where they are, but where do they film at versus where they go home at, which is to Houston, because I'm trying to understand. But anyway, they kissing, doing their thing, talking about what it's gonna be like when he gets to meet her family. She introduces him to her family, and he introduces her to, the people that mean the most to him. I noticed that she keeps relating most things, like most of his responses to stuff. She keeps saying, "'Cause you're so young, you're such a baby." So, like, are you looking for a husband or are you looking for a kid? Because he's not harping on his age. He seems to be prepared mentally to be married. And he seems mature. He like to joke a little bit, but not so much. But you just keep going back to his age on everything, Lydia. You gotta stop. When they was in the airport, she FaceTimed her mom. And her mom is named Lydia, so she's a Lydia Jr. And the mom's Lydia Sr., of course. And I'm starting to, I never knew a female that was named after their mother until I was like a preteen, somebody in my neighborhood. that was a little bit older than me had a baby, and they named their daughter after them. That was the first time I ever heard of a mother naming their child after them. And then they boarded their flights to go home from the romantic getaway and stuff like that. We see women. I'm mixing something up. No, I'm not. They did have the conversation when they was getting ready to board to go home from the romantic getaway. But Stacy and Izzy, it seemed genuine to me. They're discussing what the things they want in a wedding. And she's like, I just really want it to be the people that mean the most to us that we talk to, the people that we first want to call when something's going on in our lives. Like, not no big old elaborate thing that you inviting all these people to. She was like, I just want that. I like nude or neutral colors. So she don't like bright color anything. She want a really pretty dress. She want really good food. And that's all the input she got right now. And he was like, okay, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. Whatever. She says like she do like flowers, but she don't like all those bright colors. Again, she only like the soft, well, not soft, she likes neutrals. So black, cream, white, And he was like, cool, well, I'm the type of man that likes to send his woman flowers. And she was saying something about, yeah, every other week I would like to get flowers and stuff like that. So we see JP and Taylor in the room talking. And he's finally having a conversation, and she wants to get to the bottom of it. What exactly changed between us knowing each other in the past and us seeing each other in person? Because I felt like we had a strong connection there, but then when we saw each other, you didn't have much to say. Like be real. Like, tell me exactly what it is. Because he kept trying to blame it on her at first, saying it was her that was not, that's changed since they've been in the pods or whatever. And she was like, I'm trying here. And it was awkward. And you keep saying it's awkward, and it's getting more awkward by the day. But you're not being completely honest and telling me what the issue is. And he tells her he wished that they can go back to when they was in the pods and they could just hear each other's voices, and it was easier to talk because you're talking to a wall, even though somebody else is on the other side of it. She was like, but I'm still the same person. I have not changed. I'm still the same person. So he comes out and he says, and I noticed he kept saying things like, I love your freckles. You letting your freckles show today. And he kept telling her she's beautiful and stuff like that. And she said, thanks. So this man says, all this time, what made him change is the amount of makeup she was wearing on their first meet. He like natural women. He don't want you to wear makeup at all. He was like, I don't like that. She was like, but how can you say what you like and that you don't want me? Because he was like, I don't want to be married to somebody that do that every day. Put all that. That's fake. That's all fake to me, putting all that on. Covering up your natural beauty. That's fake to me. She said, I wanted to look pretty for our first meet. And that's why women wear makeup, to enhance their beauty, because they want to be pretty and look flawless. But he harping on the fact that and he was like, it was all caked up, and you had those big eyelashes on, and all that stuff like that. And I like you better this way. And again, I don't want to marry somebody that wears makeup and stuff like that. I want to marry somebody that want to be natural all day, every day. She was like, you're not going to tell me that I can or cannot wear makeup. Who are you? And the thing is, you didn't know what I looked like. And you fell in love with me as who I am. And you mean to tell me that me having makeup on during the first meetup is the reason that you haven't been opening up, that you haven't been talking, because you felt like I was fake because of that? And he says yes, basically. So they kept going around in circles over the same thing. And she was like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to like when we get home and go live together, like what is it gonna be like and stuff. And she feels like they're not getting anywhere. So she said, I think it's best if I leave and go get another room. So she packed up her stuff to get ready to go and sleep in another room. He gets up, he hugs her. And she also made, when he said, he wished he can go back to how they were when he was in the pods. She was like, but the pods was only for a specific amount of time. We are entering the real world. Like, it's about real world, how we connect in the real world, not about just the pod life. And so she checks into another room. The next day, everybody's checking out. They board their flights. They head back to Houston. We see him sitting down in the lobby. She comes up. He says he really had a chance to think about the conversation from the night before. And he still want to go try to live together and make it work. Because they actually they had a date too. I forgot to say. They had a little ATV riding date. And then they had like lunch outside, or whatever. And to me, the conversation at that point seemed like it was good and things was getting better. But obviously it didn't, because they still ended up arguing that night about her makeup and stuff, and him being real about what made him hold himself back from her. And she even said, like, so you mean to tell me your whole feelings, like it was no emotion, like you don't have no emotions at all because I'm wearing makeup? It's got to be more to it than that. So when she sat down in front of him and he said that he wanted to still try to make it work, she said she really reflected on that conversation from the night before. And at this time, she's choosing to give him his ring back and the engagement and everything, because she cannot see herself marrying him. And honestly, I don't blame her. You can't form an emotional connection with someone, and then when y'all get to see each other in person, finally, like she said, when they first hugged, when she said yes behind the wall, and they came out and they got the first look at one another, and they hugged and all that kind of stuff, she said she felt no emotional connection at all. So with that, you just can't force it, So she gives him his ring back, and he's just sitting there looking like, wow. And we don't see them anymore. We see Lydia and Milton. Izzy and Stacy arrive back home in Houston to the apartment that the show provides for them to live together over the course of the next 3 weeks while they plan and decide if they're going to actually get married or not. Lydia walks straight in, talking about this look just, no. When they get the apartments, she fine. She said it's nice, it's spacious, it's clean, it's bright. He's sitting on the counter. She keep making mentions of, it's chairs to sit in. Why are you not sitting in the chairs? It's chairs to sit in. He said, because this counter is the perfect height for me to just chill. I can eat a bowl of cereal just sitting right here, and it's comfortable. And she's like, but it's chairs to sit in. Come on, you're not in a dorm anymore. Come on, little baby, go sit in a chair. You gonna keep poking at that man about his age, and he gonna tell you no at the altar, because you can't get past how old he is. But honestly, I also think, like I said in my reviews for the episodes 1 through 4, Lydia said yes to Milton. She talking about how much she in love with him, but I really think Lydia and Milton was forced or coerced into playing this out so they can have a show. Because at this point, if they didn't do what they did, there'd be one. We would have only been focusing on Stacy and Izzy and JP and Taylor, and then at this point, it would only be one couple because JP and Taylor are over at this point. So anyway, They leave the apartment that the show provides, and they went back to Milton's apartment that he shares with a roommate. And she walked straight in like, ew, this world is ugly. I gotta help you to get better taste. Oh my God, there's nothing on the walls. The walls are bare. This look like a dorm room. He said, I'm a minimalist. She was like, you're just too lazy to go shopping and decorate your place. So his roommate comes in. He introduces her to him. And she asked the roommate, do he think that Milton is really ready for marriage? And he was like, I'm going to put it to you like this. This man graduated high school early with an associate's degree, a college associate's degree already. He's finished his master's program and he's only 24. He went out here and he got a really decent job, making 6 figures a year doing engineering. I would say he has a joking spirit, but the man is super mature and really headstrong and steadfast in what it is that he wants or whatever. So she was like, thank you for saying that. I was like, yeah, you a good homeboy. So we get Stassi and Izzy. She rides through a certain neighborhood and was like, yeah, if you choose to move in with me, because I already have a house and I'm already like renovating it and stuff. They was working on it while I was in the pods. So she takes him to her place and shows it to him. She's very organized. Place is nice. Still, you see where she shows them where they're getting some work done. So then they head to the kitchen and have a serious conversation about stuff and savings and the financial stuff. She said she didn't come from money. Well, her family didn't start out coming from money. Like the grandfather worked really hard. And he's had a home that was foreclosed on and stuff like that. And he had to start over. The parents raised them to work hard, to save their money. And now to go out there and make a way for themselves in whatever it is or industry they choose to be in. So she asked Izzy, like, so, like, what do you feel about the bills? Like, do you feel like if something need to get fixed or whatever, like, do you feel like you should pay for it to get fixed in the house or whatever? So he was like, I feel like we can go 50-50 on the bills. And she was just like, oh, okay, I get that. Because she was saying, like, she saved a certain amount at her savings account a month. Because if something goes wrong, she said she got 2 HVAC systems. So therefore, if anything goes wrong with it, that's like 10, 20K that she kicking out right off top. And she, she makes sure that she has a certain amount of money stashed away for incidentals such as those that with being a homeowner and still trying to save for retirement at some point in life. So you're like, cool. She said, so when we go out, who's going to pay for dinner when we go out? He said, we can go ahead. It depends. Sometimes I might pay. Sometimes you might pay. Sometimes we might throw the cards down and split the bill 50-50. She was like, oh, no way. I've never been in a relationship where I had to pay when we went out to dinner. The man pays. He was like, no, not every relationship work like that. So she was taken aback by that. And then that's when she delved into where her family is financially and how, like, her and her dad are the persons that people call on when they get into some kind of financial strain, because they always gonna bail a person out. She said my dad is just kind of hearted like that. He always want to help somebody out financially and stuff, and she don't like sitting back watching her father go through that with people who are only using him for those reasons alone. So Izzy is sitting there just looking like, oh, okay, all right. He makes mention of the fact that they get to speak to his mom, and she asks, do you think your mom really likes me or no? Because she seemed first fine initially, but she keep questioning you. He said, my mom is just concerned. She wants to make sure that I'm protected, and you are too. She knows me. She knows that I don't like somebody until I don't. And it'll be just one little small thing that makes me change my mind about a person. And I don't want to be with them anymore. She wants to make sure I'm really sure and I'm going to see it through. So she's like, okay, fine. Aaliyah is sitting in this restaurant, and we get this scene that we saw in the trailer. Like I said, I didn't know who she was going to end up talking to. And she's sitting there waiting. Uche walks in, sits down next to her, and she said, I'm so sorry I left you like that. I still love you. I still want to be with you. I can see myself marrying you. I really, really love you, Uche. And she kept apologizing for the fact that she left the way that she left. She knows it was wrong to do that, to leave that way. But I don't think she was necessarily wrong. I mean, I feel like she could have left him a note, let him know that this, she needs some time, because this was a lot. Like, this whole situation was a lot. She asked him how he feels, and of course they do the dramatic pause of nothing, and then they play the music, and he's just sitting there, and it looks like his eyes are welling up, and they're red with tears. And let's see what his response gonna be. I feel like they're gonna try to make that whole meeting and moment with Bliss and the guy that she married from last season a thing where you meet up with somebody after the fact, and reconcile and be with that person and get married. That's what it seemed like to me. They done found another way to add to their formula of how they gonna do their show. So Lydia and Milton. She takes him and introduces him to her mom, Lydia Sr., and her brother, William. They meet at a restaurant or bar, sit down. They talk to him, of course, get to know him, and actually talk to him about the type of person that Lydia is. Of course, they want to know what made you fall in love with her. How do you know that she's the one? All those things like that. The mom goes into, like, how many children do you think you'll have? Or do you want? And he said he wanted 3. And he wants to adopt some kids as well. So the brother said, William said, listen, when you get to the point where you ready to have the kids, when she get pregnant, we going to go away for 12 months. Because we're going to let her deal with her pregnancy and have the baby, and we'll come back later. Because Lydia is bossy. The mother expresses, she gets very, very emotional about how much she loves her daughter and thinks her daughter deserves the best. Doesn't every mother think their kid deserves the best? But she welcomes Milton to their family, and so does William. Her brother welcomed him to the family. And she's just excited to see what's going to come. She said that Lydia was, out of all of her children, Lydia was the one with the most passion and the most adventure and drive to go out there and just make things happen for herself and do whatever it was that she had wanted to do. Izzy and Stacy, they go to Izzy's apartment, and of course it's not on the level that she's used to having for herself, and we can already gather that Stacy is very high strung and high maintenance. Okay, that's just the end of it. She's high strung and high maintenance, but they say they love each other and they want to make it work. When they get to Izzy's apartment, she looks inside this drawer. He said this is the lost and found. So it's like earrings in there that's missing the mate, and different little things like that. Pictures, old pictures of past people that he dealt with. And she gets an attitude about it. And he's like, this is my stuff. Like, she was like, but when you came to my house, I made sure I got rid of all evidence. Yes, we all both have a past, but I got rid of all the evidence of my past. Like, I wouldn't want you to walk in there and see anything, see anybody I used to deal with, or me holding on to something from somebody I used to deal with. Like, how do you think that makes me feel that you still holding on to this stuff? It's like you showing me how much a fuckboy you really are. That's what she says. And he was like, what? That's what you gather from this? And so it's like she goes on to this long thing saying how she feels. And when he gets to start talking about how he feels about the whole thing, she keeps cutting him off. And he's like, can you stop cutting me off? And let me finish saying what I was saying. And so it's like she gets an attitude and walks out, walks away, goes outside. She needs a breather. He goes out there to comfort her and hug her. And they said they still love each other. They want to work through it. Next thing you know, they're in the car on the way to her father's house so he can meet her dad. I'm guessing that was her mom. Her dad, her mom, and her two sisters. I feel like Stacy was the middle sister. So anyway, of course they're asking him, what do you think of her? What made you want to do this experiment? What made you gravitate towards her? Because they said that she's not this emotional person, and she's showing so much emotion as she's sitting there talking with her family about him, their relationship, if they're going to make it or not, and all that kind of stuff. He was saying he's never been on a trip before. He recently got his passport for this whole thing. For this whole experiment. And that was like his first time going on a trip. He said he's always wanted to go to like the New York and California. But the sister brought up, I know my sister. She's well traveled and she's not going to stop traveling. That's her lifestyle. And she likes nice things. What kind of, she's not a gold digger, but what kind of job or what do you do for work? Because I don't recall you speaking on that you feel like you're ready for a marriage with my sister. And so he goes into the whole thing about, the whole work-life balance and the job he had before. He was in sales, but he wasn't making a lot of money. He couldn't do a whole lot of stuff. But now he had just recently started a new career in insurance just before he got the call to come do the show. So he got to work in his new career for a few weeks before he left for the show. So her father's like, so do you have a job to go back to? He's like, yeah, I do. And so even the mother is expressing how Stacy never showed emotion or was emotional about anything. So the fact that she's doing this, they know that she really is in this. And she wants, it's a new Stacy that they seen. This is not the Stacy they knew. So her dad pulls him aside to have a conversation. And he says, I'm happy my daughter's happy. But I really want to know, what are your plans? Like, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? I know my daughter. She likes very nice things. She's accustomed to, if she can't do it, she's accustomed to somebody coming and that somebody is me. She's also accustomed to the man paying. She's not she gets her money and she'll spend it on taking care of her necessities. But when it comes to whining and dining, that's for a man to do for her, not for her to do it for herself, or her and the man do it together. Basically, is what the father said. His daughter's high strung. He knows it. And he's like when something go wrong with the house, and she was saying she got money saved away and all that to do certain things, when she don't have it, do you have it? Or are you going to be coming to her rescue? He was like, because you saying that you love her, but love don't put food on the table. Love don't pay the bills. Love don't keep her traveling the way she loves to travel. It's got to be more to it than that. And so Izzy hears him out. And it's like, okay, but I do love her. And like I said, I'm in a new career. and I'm looking forward to what I can do in this career, but I haven't been in it long enough to say exactly all the things that I'm going to do. We like, cool. So, Uche and Aaliyah are talking, and Uche asks her, like, well, he tells her how he came into the pods, what he was thinking and all that kind of stuff, and how he really, really loved her, and he wanted to eventually get married to her. He was like, and the whole thing with, she was like, you gotta understand, the stuff that Lydia was doing and saying, like, it just all threw me for a loop, and I needed to get away from it because it was just too much. He said, so you ran again. And that was what you said you had done in the past. And I wanted you to stay and fight with me to get through all this, because the real world is going to be all kind of people going to have something to say or bring up things, and you can't just run or whatever. So he goes on to say that the thing with him and Lydia, they were seeing each other, and something happened that he didn't like. He broke it off with her. Next thing you know, he says that he's getting text messages, screenshots from different girls that he follow, and they're all sending him screenshots saying that, do you follow this girl? Is this your ex-girl? Whatever, because she hitting me up in my DMs, she watching my stories and commenting on my stories, and he's saying that more than one of the girls that was on his friends list is DMing him these things. And he said something about her driving past his house and taking the picture and texting it to him like, I'm near your house. And he took it as her being a stalker. He said then she went through my things. She found out I was going to be on this show, and she came. And so Aaliyah was like, yes, and that's another thing that unnerved me. Like, why would she go through all of that? She said, now, granted, when we got into it, she said I was saying it in a joking manner, like, well, if he don't propose to me, you can have him back, okay? She said, but I was just joking. He said, but you really weren't joking. Like, nobody says that in a joke. I wouldn't even have taken that as a joke. I wouldn't have took it well if you said that to me. She said, okay. She said, but the whole thing, when you came with her coming to here, she said, I was thinking maybe she came back. Y'all planned to come here together and be on the show together. He said, why would I do that? Like, listen to what you're saying. There would be a whole lot of people having to be involved in some BS fake storyline for us to have been partnered before, break up, and we both come and be on the show together. That means that I would have to have all my friends act like they didn't know her, we knew each other before, and all that kind of stuff like that. That's just too much. Do it even sound like that makes sense? Is what he says to Aaliyah. And she was like, well, when you say it like that, you know, she said, but I still love you. He said, and that's another thing. You say you love me. You want to be with me. You can still see yourself marrying me. But yet you left me, didn't let me know what was wrong. Didn't give me a chance to say how I felt and what really happened or anything. He said, so with that being said, like, I feel like you didn't do what you did because of her. You did it for yourself. You called and asked to see me for yourself because basically you, how did he say it? You did it for you. You did it for you. The whole thing, you leaving and all that kind of stuff, you did it because you got scared. And what that tells me is you didn't trust me, and you didn't trust in this relationship. And I told you that is the main thing I need, is the trust. So with that being said, No, I think it ends here. I don't want to explore and try to get to know you and be with you. I don't. Because you couldn't even trust me to tell me how you really felt and be honest before you left without telling me anything. And I said, wow. He broke it off with her. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. So with the cast, people that was in the pause together, they all meet up. Stacy sees Johnny walk in. And she like, she tells the producers, talking to the cameras, that, you know, she don't give a crap about Johnny. And she delves in deeper, saying, like, when they was in the pod, after a while, she pretty much surmised that her and Johnny had a connection with the same guy. They was talking with the same guy. They was cool beans at first. But then when he broke it off, when Izzy broke it off with Johnny, Johnny went around the pod to the other women bad mouthing Stacy or whatever. And I do recall when Stacy came out of the pod from being proposed to by Izzy, Johnny was standing on the side seething and watching. She was upset. And she was giving her dirty look, so I can't say she is right about that. Two of the other girls, Miriam and I forget what the other girl name was, one of them was saying that Stacy had told them, like, basically, like, this is Johnny. I look at her like she's nothing, a piece of trash or whatever. Chris is there, and he comes in, and he gets to talking to the guy. Now I can't think of the guy's name, but it's the guy that looks like Toby from This Is Us. That guy is putting it out there, putting everybody, like, he asking the questions that we all want to know. What was going on? Are you seeing anybody? So apparently Chris and Johnny met up at the airport and been talking ever since. They boyfriend and girlfriend now. He was like, you left with nobody, you broke up with her, and then you get back with her at the airport though? And he said, yeah, so they get to tell their story about him being on the phone with his dad. She laying down taking a nap. She got a feeling in him after she heard his voice. And she probably figured it was him. And next thing you know, while she was thinking this thought about being with him, he comes back and grabs her by the hand. Or whatever. I said, okay, whatever. Izzy pulls Johnny aside to have a conversation. And to talk about what happened in the pods, why he made the choice to be with Stacy, not her, all that kind of stuff. And so he's like, basically he wanted to shit on her. He told her that everybody in there thinks that she's a piece of shit. She's the most piece of shit person there. Did he use the words piece of shit? He might have used some other terminology, but essentially he was calling her a piece of ish. And he was like, you told him one thing, you told me another. And she admitted it. She was like, I did not. I told you that you were like all the past relationships I had been in. And with him, she could see her future and how things would go great and everything with Chris. And she leaned on Izzy and was going to choose Izzy because it was like a sense of adventure, and it was what she was most familiar with because that's the kind of thing she experienced in her past relationships. But he tried to make it seem like she said something totally different. He told her to stop lying and all that, like basically shitting on her. She was like, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this. And he told her that everybody there felt like she was a piece of shit. Nobody likes her. But he all going off, I believe, nobody else said those things about her. He's going off of what Stacy said about how she talked shit about him, how she fake and all that kind of stuff. Because Stacy didn't figure out that they was dating the same guy and the same guy. And Johnny did have that look on her face, like I said, once Stacy came out after being proposed to by Izzy. So Stacy poisoned his mind about Johnny. And he came down on her pretty hard. And then he gonna go to Stacy and talk ish more like, yeah, we had the conversation. And yeah, I told her. And I said this and that and so forth. And she was like, well, why would you say that? Because like what was the content of the conversation that brought you to say that to her or whatever? But he basically was trying to assure Stacy that it was no love connection, no love lost between him and Johnny. Like they both happy with their people and all that kind of stuff. And he basically shitted on her just now. So, they all sitting around enjoying the festivities. And here comes Uche. The camera zooms in on Lydia's face. And she's like, oh God. So he goes and he speaks to everybody. And then he goes there and make pretend he wanted a snack. And then gonna look at Lydia and say, can we go have a conversation? She was like, I really don't want to, but if you need to, I can. And he was like, okay, come on. So they go up there, have a conversation. And he starts the conversation about basically getting into why it is that they didn't work out the first time. And then he keeps cutting her off. She trying to explain herself. He like, let me finish, let me talk. And I want to say, backtracking to Izzy and Johnny. Izzy did the same thing to Johnny that Stacy was doing to him. Like, when he was trying to get out his point or his side of things, she kept stopping him. That's what he was doing to Johnny. When Johnny started talking, he kept interrupting and stopping her. So, basically, he did to Johnny what Stacy did to him. So, anyway, Uche like, let me finish. And so, he was like, you lied to me about something. And then that's when he went into the whole thing about she was at his place. And she went snooping through his things. And then she applied to be on the show so that they can be on the show together. And that's what he was, when he brought up her snooping through his things before, he was trying to get to the point that that's how he felt she did this with this show or whatever. And they get into a loud shouting match. Milton comes back from wherever he was. Somebody said, you better go get your woman. She in there arguing with Uche. So he goes in, and Uche is like, I want to talk to you anyway, Milton. But can me and her finish having this conversation? He was like, actually, no, because we got somewhere we had previous plans, and we got to go in 10 minutes. And so Uche was like, oh, okay, cool then. And Lydia was like, no, babe, let me just give him one more second and we're going to finish this up and then I'll be there. He said, fine. He left out. So they continue going back and forth. He's like, listen, let's not keep dwelling on that one incident while we split up the first time. So he tries to get into the whole, he thinks that she's stalking him. And then when she says her side of the story, she says basically like, I didn't want you to do Aaliyah like you do me. You like you did me. Like you making up stuff and saying that I did these things that I really didn't do or whatever, or it wasn't like that or whatever. Basically, she said that I was riding past. It's not like I came looking for your house or anything. I was in that area doing something else. And I just said, hey, I'm driving by. I just wanted to speak to you or whatever. And you trying to make it seem like I was stalking you. And she was like, what are these girls? Who sends you? And he pulls up this one message where the person is basically saying that, do you know this girl? Why is she following me and reading my stories? She was like, it makes no sense, Uche. You got this one thing and you try to make it seem like I went and made friends with all the girls that you got following you on social media so I can keep tabs on you. She told him something about him not being emotionally available and all that kind of stuff. It was just a big mess. They leave. and she storms off one way. He comes out of the area they was talking in, and he goes up to Milton and asks Milton, can he have a conversation with him? And when we get the previews for next week episodes, basically he's going to be telling Milton, like, she planned, like, she snooped through my stuff and found out I applied to be on this show, and next thing you know, she shows up to this show. And I just want you to know the real deal before you proceed ahead with dealing with her. Like, she didn't come here with the intent to find love. She came here because she's still stalking me, basically. I was like, oh, wow. So, what do y'all think? This review is kind of long. It's going to be over an hour. But this is for 3 episodes. Episodes 5, 6, and 7. So, hey, what you going to do? I am still sad that Uche and Aaliyah ain't working out. But Uche do give me and that's one thing that Lydia said, you are so freaking arrogant. And he is. Uche is very arrogant. And I didn't see it at first. But I'm going to tell you who said it. When I watched their review the other day, Jessie Woo's review. And she said it. She said he's emotionally damaging too. He know how to play with people's emotions. And that's exactly what he did. Because he acted like he really, really cared about Aaliyah. And for him to say that he don't want to explore nothing with her at all anymore because of the fact that she left without saying anything, he didn't give her a second chance after that at all. So yeah, I can agree with Jessie's assessment that Uche likes to play with people's feelings. He'll love bomb you, and you do one thing wrong, he's going to try to manipulate your emotions. And that's exactly what he's doing. But Lydia ain't no better either. But I'll see y'all next week for the rest of the season. I'm guessing we're going to get the rest of the season next week. Except for we probably going to get episodes 8, 9, and 10. And the next week we probably going to get the reunion show. But yeah, this was crazy. Crazy.